Hello and welcome to this episode of the Corporate Escapists TV show and podcast. I am your host, Christina Ness. Now, I am delighted because honestly, I have been doing some Google searching on this beautiful woman who is joining us today, all the way from Texas in the USA. Staci, welcome, beautiful.
It is my honor to be here. I mean, we're like on other sides of the world, but what a beautiful thing that technology brings us together where we can be in perfect alignment, and it's going to be a good one.
Absolutely, absolutely. So people who have been following me for a while know I get very carried away very easily. So I'm going to hand it over to you and get you to introduce each other, and then we're going to have a really beautiful conversation.
Perfect. Well, my name is Staci Wallace. I'm the CEO of Fueled by Fire. We actually help CEOs and entrepreneurs. We help them clarify, identify, and then fulfill their kingdom assignment. So we are a faith-based organization. We help companies build purpose-driven, faith-based, highly profitable lives and businesses. And so because we work with very high-level CEOs and entrepreneurs, we are really passionate about helping them not only build massive companies, but also building the infrastructure so that they can have an actually enjoyable life that other people want to duplicate. I've been doing this for 35 years, so I'm not a spring chicken in doing it. We've raised companies into the hundreds of millions, one company to $1 billion market cap. From scratch, my husband and I, we've just been in business for a long time. And I say all that flippantly, but it took a lot. And so a lot of successes, a lot of failures to have that many positive exits. We've had a lot of negative exits as well. I was in corporate America for 35 years as well, doing the grind, working in the C-suite of a lot of companies, and really got to a place. I grew up basketball player. I was a preacher's kid, so I was taught that anything is possible. But I began to really quickly learn that money only makes you more of what you are. And if you don't have your values in line, and if you don't have your North Star lined up, you're going to find yourself one day, I'm 54 years old, you're going to find yourself one day saying, was it all worth it?
Yeah.
Is this really what I was working so hard for? And is there something more? And so at 48, I hit that wall and realized that it was time for me to make some big adjustments. And we did that. I'm super excited. That's where Fueled by Fire came from, and why we're now not as focused on building companies as we are about building entrepreneurs and CEOs. Entrepreneurs, some of them just getting started. CEOs, some of them already into the hundreds of million, 450 million, 600 million. Every stage of infrastructure growth requires different scaffolding. And so we're passionate about using those years that we've had, helping other people hit their success, move from success to significance.
Oh, I love it so much. And there's so much in there that you said. So first of all, welcome to the Escapee Club, because honestly, that's literally what happened. I got sick after 22 years in corporate.
Yeah.
And I believe that, God, the universe, like made that happen so I could really sit up and listen, that I wasn't following my own true purpose. So yeah, welcome to the club. I absolutely love what you're about. And I think there's a couple of really key things. And one of the things, like everyone who knows me, values are my jam. And I think that if you know your values yourself, you then literally are unstoppable, because that literally, like you're saying, the scaffolding that builds you up to who you are, but it also too allows you to set healthy boundaries to attract in the right people as well.
Yeah. And one thing I didn't say, I'm a mom, I'm a wife of 27 years, and values, core values, more is caught than taught. You can teach your kids whatever you want to teach them, but they're going to catch who you are. And core values, if you use them as a filter for your scaffolding. Like even when we have I had a client that was a very, very multi-million dollar client. They wanted to sign up for our platinum program, and we do an audit. We do a questionnaire that we have them go through, and interviews before we take them on as a client. And it just didn't line up with our core values. Their company didn't line up with our core values. We loved that they were great people, but it was just not a fit for what we do and who we're called to be. If you don't have core values in place, it's one of the first things we do with companies is make sure we identify through our sweet spot audit, what is your mission? What is your vision? What is your North Star? And then what are the core values that are going to be the scaffolding to make sure that you don't let good become robber of great? And
Yeah.
so those core values for my kids. Now, today they're 22 and 23 years old. I love that their core values line up with our, not because we gave them and told them they had to have these core values, but they just saw it built a beautiful life of peace and profits for us, that now we have shared core values with our children. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. My son said to me a few years ago, he goes, Mum, I don't know who you are anymore, because all he knew was mum in corporate. And there was
Yeah.
such a different identity to
Mm-hmm.
when I left, because I think, I was, brought up that you go to school, you get a good job, like as a woman, like you get married, you have kids, and I mean, I was climbing that corporate ladder. But when I came out of that to actually work out who I was, it was such a
Yeah.
big identity shift, because it wasn't just losing the corporate title. My son was, going into adulthood. So it was almost like not being the mum, like not needed as well.
Right.
And I think there's so many things, like if you know who you are, like you're saying, it attracts so much goodness into your life.
Well, a lot of people get confused between what is my role and what is my purpose. And I share
Mm.
this a lot of times because a lot of people, they'll go through a season of life like a baseball player. When we work with athletes, we have to make sure that they understand this is just a role you play. This is not your purpose. You're here on this planet to reflect God's love to the people around you. You can do that swinging a bat. You can do that as a surgeon. You can do that as a dentist, as a mom. We have a lot of moms that they'll get to 18 years old, kids start flying the coop, they no longer have them at home, and they get depressed, they go through anxiety because
Mm.
they thought that the kid or the kids was their purpose. My purpose is to be a good mom. No, that's just a role that you play. Your purpose is whether your kids are at home or whether they're in some other state or doing missions trips around the world. Your mission is, no matter what season you're in, no matter what job you have, reflect the love of God in whatever you do. I can do that working at a little restaurant. I can do that as a CEO. I can do that as a WNBA basketball player. I can do that at the Olympics. It doesn't matter what role I have. That way, if you're an athlete and you throw your arm out, your purpose doesn't change. Your role might change, but you're still on this planet to do good, to be a reflection of God, and to make life better for many. It
Yeah.
changes everything when you know what your purpose is.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm such a big believer, like obviously, you would understand, like coming from corporate, the corporate companies have their own mission, purpose, and values. And so
Mm-hmm.
many of us don't have that ourselves. So I think for anybody starting in business, you need to have that for yourself. So then you know who you are, for you to fully step into that role as a CEO or an entrepreneur.
So good. We call it the personal I am statement. We do a corporate I am statement and a personal I am statement. And obviously, I'm a faith based leader. So I do a lot of my teachings around biblical principles. Nothing better than how Jesus walked into a room and said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has anointed me to preach the good news, to recovery of sight to the blind." He knew who he was. And that's how he could confidently walk in any room, no matter what people said. They called him a heretic, called him a liar, put him on a cross. He knew what he was called to do, and he did it effectively. So many times as leaders, we get wrapped up in other people's missions, the company's mission, but we haven't really identified, why am I here? What am I called to do? So, just real simple, practically, the way we do that is, number one, who are you? That would be, hi, my name is Staci Wallace. What do you do? And what is your title? So, my name is Staci Wallace, CEO of Fueled by Fire. What do you do? The CEO of Fueled by Fire, a company that, and this is where we say, help CEOs and entrepreneurs clarify and fulfill their kingdom assignment. And then the long version of that I am statement might be, what is your secret antidote? Right? So, who are you? What do you do? What value do you bring to the marketplace? And what is your secret antidote? So, for me, I have something called a signature growth model. We have something called the 1% method, which is on TEDx. When you know who you are, you can go to a networking group, you can go into a dinner party. And when people say, "Oh, so what do you do?" You can do it not like a speech. You can just say, "Oh, I'm CEO of a company called Fuel by Fire. We work with CEOs and entrepreneurs wanting to clarify their kingdom assignment and I stop. And I know if that is the right market for me because it'll hit a love unit in their heart and they'll go, really? What does that mean? Kingdom assignment, right? Okay, now we're fishing, right? Hook on, fish on. So now you can go into the next conversation, ask them about theirs, and you create this really great conversation versus I just represent a company.
Mm.
Who are you? What value are you going to bring to that person? Because all they really care about, they don't really care about what you do. They don't care about who you are. They don't care about how much money. They care about WIFM. What's in it for me? How can you help me get more clear about what I'm supposed to be doing on this planet?
Mm. I love that so much. I have in-person networking events, and I one of the rules is that it's called no marshmallow conversations. So the marshmallow conversations is that sickly sweet conversation where you leave and you're like going, well, that didn't really get me anywhere. Felt good at the time, but now I feel really,
Right.
like you've eaten too many bags of marshmallows as such. So when you can have those really meaningful conversations, but in a way where you're igniting a conversation within somebody straight away, but you're still on your mission, that's the sweet spot.
Yeah, and really, I said this in a conversation today with one of our CEOs, as I said, when you're in the room with kings and queens and rulers of nations, never talk about yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah, at some point they're going to want to know, what do you do? Why am I talking to you?
Yeah.
But really, you want to get other people talking about them so that you can hear what is their sweet spot. What are they looking for in life? How you may not have anything to offer them, but they may know somebody
Yeah.
that needs what you've got. You won't know that if you're just talking about yourself. I did an event recently and somebody came and they were like wanting to hand out their business cards at our event and put brochures everywhere. And I was like, that's just not the way you enter an event. You enter an event going, what do I have to give? Not what am I here to take out of the event? And it is really more blessed to give than to receive. When you become a generous giver by listening to other people, really seeking to understand them, not just to be understood, you really become a valuable contributor to the outcomes of other people's lives.
Yes, absolutely. And you stay on purpose. It's
Yeah.
like you're saying, it's us to give to the world. It's to,
Mhm.
I always say it's like that beautiful ripple effect. When you walk into the room, like you're not just touching one life, you're touching multiple because they're going to go home and potentially talk about what they've learned from you or, what they've received from you. And it could not be a conversation. It could literally be your energy. It could be how you've presented today and
Mhm.
simply just showed up to, hold a beautiful space for somebody.
And really amazing thing is that people don't necessarily relate to your power. They relate to the process you've had to go through to get there. And, obviously, when we're on podcasts, people want to know the hype and the beauty of how we got to where we're at and how we've got, like, we live debt free. We owe no man anything but to love him. All our ranches, our houses, our cars, everything's paid for because we believe that we're not supposed to owe people. I believe kings don't borrow, they distribute. So we teach that. It's a part of our, but that's great. If I was listening, that's great for you, Staci. But I'm in debt right now. I'm hurting. I don't know how we're going to get food on the table. Well, that means I need to tell them the story of how we got there
Yes.
because it wasn't an overnight. And if it was an overnight, it was a really long overnight success.
Exactly.
But the struggles and the learning process and the 21 years old going through abuse and divorce and so much grief and anxiety because I had to become what I was going to eventually teach. I had to grow from the ashes of my past, not just have a great Cinderella story. You
Mm.
got to talk about where you've been so you can help connect. It's called neurocoupling. Connect with people where they're at. So now you can take them on a journey with you to their North Star while you're talking about yours.
Oh, absolutely. This is literally what I preach. I always say to people, the way to
Mm,
set yourself apart for any business owner is to share your why. Like why you're in
yeah.
business. And it doesn't have to be a doom and gloom story. It could be that you're in the shower and a light bulb moment happened. However, the power of stories allows us to connect. And I think COVID taught us that so much more, that we crave human connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, and COVID brought it out. It's always been there. COVID brought it out and now we can
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yes. Yes.
People talking today about their depression, people talking about their anxiety, because now they know I'm not alone. I've
Yes.
been through it. And maybe now by talking about it, I can find the scaffolding around me, the right coaches, the right mentors, the right, people who've gone through it, gotten to the other side, who can reach back and help you get to where you're called to be as well. That's called community.
Yes.
And when you
Yes.
live on an island, you are in a dangerous place because your mind is like the devil's playground. He would love to be just you and him playing around to make you feel you're not good enough. You've got imposter syndrome. Why are you doing this? Who do you think you are? Those are voices that it doesn't matter how great of a kingdom God has entrusted you to steward on this earth. Those voices will always be there. But if you've got the right mentors and coaches around you, they help you stay on track and silence those voices so you can keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, obviously with your experience with dealing with, people on the different scales, from starting a
Mm-hmm.
business up to multi-millions, how real is imposter syndrome? Because I think it's one of those things that people do not talk about. They think, oh, well, once you've got all this money, it never happens.
Yeah, no, I'm so blessed because I'm in an association of friends and networkers, CEOs, pastors of mega churches that operate at a level that I would say is everybody's dream come true. They all have coaches.
Yeah.
Many of them have therapists. Many of them, in fact, I've got just incredible coaches in my life because I know that there's certain things that I never want to get stagnant at where I'm at because I get imposter syndrome. I've got friends of mine that are running multi-billion-dollar portfolios, and I'll say to them, "Are you happy?" No. What
Mm.
is that? Something internally is still off, even if it's 2 degrees off. That is where the enemy likes to come in and kill, steal, and destroy your joy, your life, your peace. That's why the number one thing that we teach is how to have peace and profit. Money only makes you more of what you are. Revenue is the name of the game if you want to talk about hype. Everybody's talking about we're doing XYZ revenue. Revenue it pales in comparison to profit and cash flow. Because in profit means you have more generosity. You have the ability to not only be good, but do good. And when you operate in profit, because you've got the infrastructure in place for your company, now you are growing a kingdom that has the ability to feed the poor, clothe the naked, take care of orphans and widows, because it's not about you and your bottom line anymore. It's about, wow, we've got more than enough to be able to become a conduit of blessing to others. So think about it. Everybody wants to get there, but how many voices do you have to go through? It's like the valley of the shadow of death. What that is, it's the voices of the imposter syndrome trying to get you to stop in the valley. Now, the most things grow in the valley. The best fruit grows in the valley. But I believe that God has a plan and a purpose for every single person to press through that so they can use their valley story to say, you know what, if I can make it, you can make it.
Yes.
I went through
Yes.
suicidal depression after my divorce because I thought, how could God ever use me? I was a country music singer, nominated for New Female Vocalist of the Year, ended up going through all this abuse, heartache after 7 months of being married to a world champion rodeo cowboy. He left me. And I felt like, if there is a God, or if you believe in the universe or whatever, I happen to believe in God. If there is a God, how could he use me now? I'm unwanted. I'm abused. I've been cast out. If I ever wanted to do anything with my faith, who would want to listen to me? I mean, these voices. And I went through suicidal depression, planned out my demise and how I was going to kill myself, when I had this absolute incredible epiphany that God uses broken people. Our ranch here, we have 62 acres. It's absolutely gorgeous if you could see it. Beautiful 7 acre. It's called Epiphany Ranch, because epiphany is when you have a heaven on earth experience where you know that you're not on this planet just so you can make money or just so that you can be a good person. You're here because there is something bigger than you that wants to use your brokenness, use your talent, use your ability to make a difference in the world. And when you surrender and give God that yes, everything changes.
I've literally got goosebumps because that's my why. That is literally
Mm.
why I started this. I never want anyone to go through what have I experienced.
Yeah.
However, if you are, to let you know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's not another train coming. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You know that there's people there that have been through it. And
Yeah.
I mean, I remember growing up, and like here in Australia, we had like an aerobic. It was called Aerobics Oz style, and it was on at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was always a plus size girl. So you picture this big girl and these girls that are in these bright leotards going, well, if I can do it, you can do it too. And I'm like, oh, as if, like, there's just no way. And now I use that phrase, like, if I can do it,
Yeah.
if I can do all of this, you can do it too. And to show that hope, and just give them that little glimmer, that
Mm.
spark within them, just to let them know that I don't believe that anyone's really truly broken. I believe that we're might be a little fractured, but that's where the gold starts to seep out of us.
We're a work in progress,
We
right? We're all a
are.
work in progress.
Absolutely. What has been like, obviously you've seen, business change over the years. Like,
Mhm.
what's one of the biggest things that you've noticed that has been a game changer for businesses?
It's funny that you say that because the more I study it, the more I realize that it's been around for thousands of years, and it's the power of connection. Is when we learn how to connect with people, how to, when I come on these podcasts and, Christina, I look at and I say, how can I help Christine? I don't look and go, what can she do for me? What can I get out of this I don't need to do podcasts. I do podcasts because I love podcast hosts. And I know behind every podcast host, there could be thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people listening, and that they're the icing on the cake. But when I'm in a room, my heart is to connect with you. My heart is that you and I have a moment. And I believe that as I've grown in business, I've realized some friends are for a season, some are just for a reason. But both of those are good, but I really want to create lifetime relationships. I want friends for a lifetime that they know if I'm hurting, I can call Staci.
Yeah.
I don't know her really well, but she was on my show. And I just think there was something there that I'm going to call her. Maybe she can help. When we create those kind of connect, we're creating an inner working matrix per se, that's
Yeah.
bigger than anything we do. That means that if you ever, Christine, if you ever decide that, I don't want to do this anymore, what am I going to do? You go to your matrix, you go to the people that you've connected with over time and say, hey, listen, can you help me think through where I've been? Because I know what got me here is not going to get me to where I feel I'm called to be right now.
Yes.
And that connection is the biggest thing I've learned throughout the years. Money comes, money goes, businesses scale, you sell them, you exit. But what stays forever are the relationships that you make and the impact that you make in the people around you.
Oh, I love that so much. I mean, you and I are so aligned in so many different ways. It's incredible because one of my big things is like I don't ever want to have transactional sort of
Yeah.
oh, yeah, like, with my clients, it's not transactional. It's that whole relationship, because somebody will come into me and go, oh, I need this. I'm like, oh, I've interviewed this person, or I've met, I've worked with them. Like, this is
Right.
who you need to talk to. Because we're not all experts in everything. But yeah, so I love, oh my goodness, there's so much I want to ask you. So my mind is just going like absolutely crazy at the moment. Um, when you are obviously, working with people, and they think that they're here, but you already can probably see the vision of what they've got, and you sort of sometimes go, oh, hang on, how do I get to connect them, to join the dots, to even think bigger? Because so many people, I think, don't understand their own greatness that they have within themselves.
I'll give you two stories. One, well, maybe three. Last night on one of our calls, we had a gal that came to us at 439 pounds. And brilliant woman. She had multiple degrees, master's degree in education, degree in psychology, brilliant woman. But life had just had its toll on her, and she manifested pain in her body. So 439 pounds, a lot of the world ruled her out just because of the way she looked, stopped taking care of herself, just would show up okay with being overweight. Now she's lost 180 pounds. She's one of our top certified coaches. And now she's coaching multi-million dollar leaders, CEOs, thought leaders on how to live an effective life. She's helping them not only get in shape, but how to have a company that has a good health audit, right? Isn't that amazing that God would take somebody who was so unhealthy and put them in a place of being a health coach? Not just a physical health coach, but a business health coach. I've got two young guys that came to me when they were 20 and 22 years old. Their company was going through bankruptcy. They had a tiny home business, and they were claiming bankruptcy because they couldn't see what I could see when I saw them. They were cute. They were young. They were hungry. They were willing to learn. They joined our program, and in less than 9 months, really, in less than 9 months, we took that company from going bankruptcy to $13 million. Now ask me what they see in themselves. Now they walk into a room going, the room's just got bigger. We're getting invited on podcasts. We're getting invited into big stages. Why? Because when you can, and that's what you do with your clients, right? You see your clients in a way they can't see themselves. So Christine, you're that person. You're a seer. And if you are aligned with a seer, even if you can't see the vision for yourself, hitch your boat to a seer that can see what you can't see so that you can get what you would otherwise never get.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. And it's really interesting because, I think even I look at, like, for myself, there's times where, I took some time off last year. I was needed to reset myself. And a lot of people saying to me, Christine, you don't understand your greatness. But when you are surrounded by the people who, and I truly believe that you need to be surrounded by people who are going to be your cheerleaders, but they also need to be your mirror. So they can actually do a real true reflection, allow you to really see who you are. And that's like warts and all, but all the goodness to allow that to come out, and they can cheer you along the way.
Yeah, not only cheer you, but hold you accountable.
Yeah.
There's times I had a talk with one of my staff members last night. I said, girl, you're being mean. You need to call that person and apologize to him because that's not nice. Right now, I always believe in the Oreo, right? The Oreo approach is always give some nice sweetness. And then in the middle, you give the meat of the correction and then end it with some sweetness. But sometimes you just got to also be willing to say to people, you know what? You're being mean to yourself.
Yeah.
You don't see what I see. And so I'm just going to spank you for just a minute until you pull up your big boy panties or your big girl panties,
Yes.
go look in the mirror and say, doggone it, God was in a good mood when he made me.
Yeah.
Sometimes that comes with love, and sometimes that comes with tough love, which comes off often in the form of correction.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I literally love everything about what you're doing, the message that you bring. And I'm just literally so delighted. I could literally talk for hours with you. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here and sharing so much of your amazing gifts to us as well. How can people work with you?
Well, they can go to staciwallace.com and see everything that we do through Fuel by Fire and that, but it's just Staci Wallace, WALLACE.com. I'm sure you'll put it in the show notes.
We will.
But we do something every so often where we do a free 5-day, it's called Kingdom Alliance. It's helping you get in touch with your identity, who God's put you on this planet to be, and how to operate in a team managed environment so that you don't have to be working in the business every day, but you can become really like a king or queen of a nation of people that you're helping to provide jobs, better jobs, raises, bonuses. And we do that every so often. We've got one coming up that's you can go to fbfchallenge.com. And I'm telling you, it's tens of thousands of dollars worth of information. We feel because we're a high ticket program, we make a lot of money. We help people make a lot of money. We believe it's part of our duty to give back to the community of people who might not be at that level yet, but are saying, I want to be in that room one day where I am operating a multi-million-dollar company, a lot of times, a lot of leaders don't let you into that room. I want to let people in. And that's what these 5 days are about, is bringing our CEO mentors, our certified coaches, and giving without any expectation of receiving to the people that come. So they can go to fbfchallenge.com, get registered, and make sure that you told me that you were on this podcast so that I can make sure I take extra special care of you.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to put all of that in the links below. And again, thank you so much. Before we go, I have 5 questions that I've been asking everybody. It's just a little how to get to know you a little bit more. So the first question is, do you prefer tea or coffee in the morning?
Coffee.
Oh, yeah. It's like, do not talk to me before I had a cup of
Yeah, coffee
yeah.
for sure for me. I have a heated cup called an ember that I only do 1 cup a day. I do about 12 ounces a day, but I absolutely love it.
Yeah, amazing. If you could curl up and either watch a movie or read a book, what would you prefer?
I am a book connoisseur and I am constantly reading books. I have a book club and I am a hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books. So definitely a book.
Amazing, amazing. If you were to go on a holiday, would you prefer to travel to that destination by boat or plane?
I would like to take a plane in order to get on a boat because I'm an avid fisher person. And one day I'm going to have my own TV show called Fishing with G Mama. So I'd take a fly plane into a private lake with a boat that I could fish all day.
Oh, that sounds so cool. Very, very cool. The other question I would love to know is that if you were to have a dinner party and you could invite one person, either from the past or the present, who would it be?
Oh, I'd invite Jesus. I would so love to
Yeah.
have a moment with him and say, let's roll. How can we fix things around here? And what would you advise me to do?
Yeah, yeah. And a new question that we're asking people is that if you could sum up life you in one word, what would it be?
I would say kingdom.
Yeah, I love
For
that.
me, it's all about the kingdom.
I love that so much. Well, I am so grateful to have had you on the show. I'd love to have you back and just to be able to share more of your wisdom. And thank you so much for your time, for being here. And yeah, just so, so gracious. So thank you so much.
So honored. I'm sincerely honored to be here. I look forward to seeing what our lifetime relationship looks like.
Absolutely. For those who are watching at home, thank you so much for being here today. I know that you've gotten so much out of this episode. If you've liked it, don't make sure that make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button above and put any comments that you've got below and we'll reach out to you. Remember to live life to the fullest every single day. Love and light to you all.